Hello everyone, I'm back again, yet again from the cinema, this time after seeing La Chimera, an Italian film written and directed by Alice Rohrwacher. Yes, she has a German name, I do believe that comes from her father, but nonetheless she is very much an Italian filmmaker. And though 98% of this film is spoken in Italian, there is a little bit of English spoken by particularly the protagonist, and a few other languages sprinkled here and there. So this protagonist, his name is Arthur, he is an English archaeologist who literally just got out of jail. He reconnects with this group of grave robbers that he used to work with, and let me tell you, they're quite the motley crew. A rather degenerate bunch. Yeah, these guys are a riot and a very, very lively bunch. So they continue their clandestine cooperation together to make their living by robbing these Etruscan tombs, which they will then later sell on the black market. They are successful in this regard, mainly due to Arthur's rather uncanny abilities. I'll just leave it at that to avoid spoilers. Josh O'Connor gives a solid performance here as Arthur, though he is a rather stoic and introverted character, not a very charismatic protagonist as far as those archetypes go. Indeed, as talented as he may be in uncovering these forgotten treasures, he seems rather uninterested by all of this treasure hunting. There's clearly a lot of baggage that's buried deep within him. We regularly see memories of Beniamina, this past love that he's lost. It's not clear exactly what happened. It is all shrouded in mystery in a very sensational way. So it is curious that in this film we seem to be unearthing everything except for these deep buried traumas. Though of course there is this interesting romantic tension that is slowly budding throughout the film with a woman named Italia, and curiously enough, when he introduces her to this gang of grave robbers, one of them literally is taken aback by her name and replies, "Viva la Italia," which was an amusing moment, but that aside, she truly is one of the sweetest things I've seen on screen in quite a while. I really loved her performance and everything about her demeanor and character. And incidentally, I do mention that she's a maid, and she's the maid of Flora, who is played by a brilliant Isabella Rossellini, who, as far as I'm concerned, is most famous for her performance in Blue Velvet. Here she gives off these major grande dame vibes. Yeah, she's quite the powerful and towering figure in her mansion. In a rather dilapidated mansion. It's falling apart, and whenever it rains, there's leakage everywhere in her home. And indeed, this idea of things falling apart seems to be reflecting in many areas of the film. Not only in this home, but also in our itinerant grave robber friends who don't seem to have a home exactly. It's not clear what their setup is exactly, and much the same can be said for Arthur himself, who, of course, just got out of jail. He's kind of lodging himself in Flora's house, but he's kind of this nomad soul. And as we progress throughout the film, he seems more disheveled, dirty, and uncouth, and shaggy with each passing scene, which I think is a very smart creative choice because it mirrors this inner turmoil that is slowly bubbling to the surface. Without going into too much narrative details, there's this idea that's presented of perhaps what we're doing here is not meant for human eyes and should be left for the souls of the departed. There's a lot of interesting ideas put forth in this film, and it does take a while for them to start to take hold, but the film has a really clever way of just pulling on this narrative thread, and it all unravels in quite a lovely way by the end. So to sum up my feelings about this film, I think the performances are great. Honestly, everyone gives a fantastic performance. And even though for the most part it is a rather dry and somber film-going experience, I actually think in many ways is a very funny and amusing film. That is mostly due to the fantastic dialogue delivery, which the cast is so talented at just getting the perfect tonality on every scene. And as far as the art direction goes, I love it. I specifically love the locations and the set designs that have all these minute little details. This of course applies to the indoors, the dilapidated mansions that I mentioned before. There are also some really fantastic exterior shots. There's one beach sequence in particular that I thought was rather exceptionally lovely. But of course, there are the tombs that we explore that are both regal and rather eerie. There's one scene in particular that had a very visceral ooh reaction from me in the cinema that once again harkens that idea of perhaps what we're seeing here is not meant for human eyes. And indeed, I do find it curious that Indiana Jones was such a massive influence for Alice Rohrwacher. Of course, aesthetically and tonally, we're in a very different place here, but clearly the inspirations are there. And finally, I do absolutely love the use of music in this film. It's actually one of the elements I would praise the most in La Chimera. We have a very potent dose of Italian acoustic culture, where the lyrics are delivered in this very poetic exploration of the narrative of the film. Yeah, I thought that was sensational. So yeah, this is terrific. I'd say anywhere between an 8.5 and a 9 out of 10. 2024 starting to pick up steam over here. I got another 2 films that I'm planning to see next week, so hopefully I'll be able to make some time to edit these videos as quickly as possible to get them out. As always, it is a pleasure to talk about these films to you all. So with all that being said, wishing you and your loved ones nothing but the best. Take care and talk to you soon.